As much as we all like to rip on men, this is time to take some accountability.
Here's the thing, though. Forgive
He always has some.
forgive my
Right?
forgive my skepticism, right? But I do okay for myself. It's just a little bit. I do okay for myself. Even here, if you have the combined income you're talking about, like it's doing 300 to 600,000 per year, I would think you would have a really big sprawling pad, right?
Well, we've only been together 6 months, and we have 8 kids. So that
Eight kids?
Yeah, she has.
Wait, what?
I said that earlier, but I don't think anybody caught it.
I don't
That's
remember
right.
the 8 kids then, Brian.
That's a lot of kids.
Now let's rewind that.
I have 2 boys. She has 6.
Biological, like your
Biologically,
kids.
that's right, and 6 are hers.
Damn.
So even though our income,
So
is
you've
pretty
all
great,
hopped up on the old pogo stick a few times.
a time or two.
Wait, your household is polyamorous?
No, not currently. No, it's just me and her.
How many of your kids live with you guys?
Well, hers are older. The first 2 or 3 are like grown.
Okay, we have everybody at the table. We'll go around on that, then we'll get to the other thing.
All right.
Minimum income for your future husband,
As much as me.
which is what?
Over 300K.
All right, what about you?
I say 75K, just not in California.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
What about you?
60 to 70K.
You said 100K.
I said 100K?
100K.
Yeah, 60. Well, you said 60K to 100K.
What?
60 to 100.
Oh, well,
It is a
I
minimum
don't know why I
range,
wrote
right?
100K, but
Okay.
60
Same height.
What about you?
3,000 per month. So like,
You said 36,000 a year.
yeah.
Okay. Wow,
Reasonable.
That's very more than reasonable.
Somebody understands mathematics.
Okay, guys.
not there yet.
Stifler, ask everyone to rate their own looks on a scale of 1 to 10. You can't pick 7. Starting with you. Go ahead.
Okay, so last time I was on, I said 6 or 6.5, and apparently I'm incorrect to your audience. So
I would have to agree with the audience. You're about a 3.
I'll go down to a 5.
Was I too mean before? Do you think I was too mean?
You did laugh.
You weren't here in person, so I think it was depersonalized. I don't blame you. I'm not mad at
I
you.
still agree with my former position, even though I'm here in person.
Okay.
There is no possible way you can give yourself that assert.
A 5?
No way.
Yeah, I have to agree because 5 is the average girl, and the average girl is not overweight like this. So that's why I gave her a 3.
I mean, I see myself in the dating pool. I am partnered, so clearly.
All right.
Before we get into it, why don't we have everybody
Fair.
go?
8.5.
Okay.
That's way too high. You're about a 4.
There you go. 8.5. There you go. Now you got to do it. You got to answer the question.
Is she past her mute time?
Oh no, the mute's over.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, mute's over.
that's-
Damn, I was enjoying the shit out of that.
So were we.
Yeah. Oh, you guys, it was great. 5.
I'll give her a 6. She's above average.
Okay.
A 6.
Okay.
I would agree with that assessment too. A 6 is fair.
A 10.
Here we go again.
Here we go again. I would give her a 5. She's an average girl.
Was it on this angle when she said? Oh, okay. 10? Okay.
Yes.
7.5.
I would have to disagree with that number. She's closer to a 4 also.
6.
Andrew, what do you give yourself?
I don't know, fucking 3 or 2. So over here, though, I got to ask you to the 10, right?
Yeah.
I just want to be sure. Do you think you're the prettiest girl at the table?
Obviously not, no.
That's weird.
I think I'm pretty to myself.
Yeah,
I
but
think I'm pretty to myself.
what was the question, though?
Rate our own looks on a scale of 1 to 10. Can't pick 7. I chose 10. Our own. Oh,
But I don't understand. You consider yourself
I
to be a
consider-
10 by your own scale, but you consider that there's other women at the table who are more attractive than you who lower their own rates for themselves.
that's what they think of themselves. But this is what I think of myself. I personally think I'm a 10. I'm not saying I'm the 10 out of everyone, But
Somebody spin the helicopter on
No,
that.
all right.
I think we're answering for like what you would think general population.
Well, here's the thing that's interesting, right?
Our own.
Like objective.
Everything moves into the perception. The question being asked itself is just a determined delusion. Very simple, right? So we could assume that if I asked every man that I walked across, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 by looks, how would you rate yourself? I think that the majority of men I came across would rate themselves somewhere between a 4 and a 6, even if they were very good looking. For instance, there's a man right now who's watching this podcast, guarantee it. His name is Jake. He's better looking than, from the female standard, all of you, and from the male standard, all of us, right? He would never rate himself a fucking 10 in a million years. The question becomes, why do you? Is it because A, you misheard the question, because I don't think you did because you repeated it,
Mm-hmm.
or B, is it because you have a false sense of security when it comes to your own looks?
I don't have a false sense of security. I think I'm attractive to myself.
Yeah, sure. So if there was 100 men and they were all in an audience and you went up in front of the audience and they had to rate you, right behind them, all of the women on this panel came behind you. And then they gave their ratings after. Where would they place you?
I don't know.
What do you think, though?
I'm not sure.
Of course you're not sure. That's why I'm just asking you for like what your subjective opinion would be.
I don't know.
You don't know your own subjective opinion?
Out of a group? No.
Okay.
If it's other people rating me, I don't know what they would think.
Well, let me ask.
She can't and she won't answer the question because she doesn't want to offend others at the table. It's as simple as that.
Ask a different question for all the women who are here. I'm asking for honesty. I'm not sure I'll get it, but I am asking for it. When all of you sat down and you made an assessment of your surroundings, as human beings tend to do, did you at any point scale things on the sense of like, her hair is nice, her body's nice, her skin is nice, I wish I had eyebrows like hers, I wish I had eyelashes like hers? Did any of you make those assessments?
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you raise your hand if you did?
Yeah.
Why?
I think it's just like naturally when you're like meeting new people and that's like the first thing that you know about them, you just kind of go off of their looks.
Fair. Why?
I don't know. I think that's because that's what people, like she said, that's what your first impression of a person is what you see. And we are just, by nature, we do comparisons like that.
Why?
Yeah, just natural. It's instinct.
Same?
Same.
I like looking at people.
I think I'm not very happy with my own body image.
So you compare yourself to others?
Yeah.
Fair.
Just acknowledging other people.
So the very idea to me then becomes all of you made assessments in comparison to the other women who were there. And if you're making those comparisons, did any of you, let me just ask this by hand raise, sit at the table and think that there was other women at the table who were more attractive than you? By hand raise, go ahead and raise your hand if that's the case. That makes sense to me as well. So when we get to the rating system, what do you think we're asking here? Like, what do you think we're asking here? Clearly, there's a diametric difference and distinction between the looks of some of the women on this panel versus others. It's not even an insult. There's massive differences in looks between the men who are here right now. Obviously, I'm very much better looking than Brian. But the point...
He rated him high.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the point is, right, is that obviously there's distinctions here. On that assessment, understanding that that is the case, understanding that you even grant that you were making those judgments, would any of your self-ratings change by a show of hands?
No.
Not a single one.
Nope.
No.
Okay. Can I ask a couple of questions? Actually, I'm going to start with you guys because I'm always wondering about this. So you said if you were to retract time, you're more attractive now than you used to be. So if I go back 10 years, you're more attractive now.
Yeah.
Now let's say that you had the same access to the resources you do right now.
Oh.
Hang on. And you had the same like thought process on giving yourself augmentations, whether they're breast implants or lipo or whatever they are, right? I don't know what they are and I don't care, but I'm just saying whatever they are, you had the same like mindset for that and for exercise, diet, this, would you be as attractive now as you were then?
Yeah, it was sobriety. Back then I wasn't sober
So
and I looked
that's
terrible.
Gone. That's
yeah.
gone.
So if I have sobriety back then and I have that, oh my God, yeah, that's.
I agree. I think she looked way better if she was 10 years younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just made poor choices when you're younger.
Yes.
But if it was equalized, you still think you would be attractive when you were younger.
That I might be more attractive 10 years ago if I was sober then. I might still look the same. I don't know. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of it had to do with like drinking a ton.
Okay.
Looking terrible.
Same over here.
I think at 18, if I was more, because I mean, I wear makeup and stuff.
Sure.
Again, very young. I think if I had all the same access, I mean, I guess my assumption was we don't have we're in 10 years from now, we're not talking about like, oh,
yeah, no, I understand.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm getting this correctly. At 18, sure. If I wasn't still very young minded, I had my mind now, I was maybe taking care of myself. Sure. Then at 18, I probably would be more attractive than I was at 35.
Would you rather cross paths with a random man or a random bear on hike?
I think I put man. I think that's what I put.
What about you?
Take the bear any day.
You?
Random bear.
Random bear. Okay.
I said man.
You wrote neither, but you have to pick one.
I'll pick one. Probably man.
Probably man?
Man.
Okay. Why do you pick bear? Why do you pick bear?
There was a time I was actually hiking and I was out in Zion and this guy started following me.
Okay.
Yeah, and in that moment, I was like, fuck, if there was a bear, the bear probably would have run away.
Y'all smoking crack! Something is wrong with you people!
Okay, but you're still alive, so why would you choose the bear?
Because the bear is probably thinking about eating me or chasing me. The man may be thinking about killing me, murdering me. What kind of augmentations do I have? All of those other things that some of the
Why would you
males
think
have
about your
mentioned today.
augmentations?
I mean, all of the things that we kind of brought up today or that some of the men brought up today is why I would choose a bear over a male any day.
What is a woman?
A woman, I mean, oh my gosh, I have to get into it. Like a woman basically is usually a person who is born with a vagina and the genitalia of what we typically would know as a woman.
Usually is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Usually?
It is. It's doing a lot of.
I know that there's people who
So what is a woman? Like when we point to a definition, we don't say usually, right?
No, I know.
Because otherwise the definition doesn't mean anything.
She's relying on the word usually because she doesn't want to offend the trans community. Just speak your mind. It's a country of free speech.
Right? Like if I said a camera is usually a component base that a camera had, but also an electrical board had, I'm not pointing at anything. So what is a woman?
A woman is someone who has a vagina.
Born with a vagina.
Yeah.
Wait, can I ask a clarifying question on that? So you're familiar with the term neo-vagina?
Actually, I'm not.
Okay, so you know,
but she said born with.
Oh, is that something like you?
Did she say born?
I
thought she was a woman with a vagina. Can you repeat it one more time?
I would say, a woman born with a vagina.
Oh, okay, fair enough. What's a woman?
Anyone who presents or identifies as a woman.
Your definition?
And that's the worst definition of what is a woman. Anybody that feels like a woman. Man, just lost all meaning.
Has a vagina.
Same, has a vagina.
Wait, just to be clear, transgender women can get a surgery that gives them what they would call a vagina. So
Now,
just want to clarify.
They wouldn't
when you
be
guys say
biological, but they would be a woman, a transgender woman. And
so that's what I'm getting to because because I don't consider the transgender surgery, what they do, the bottom surgery, that's not a vagina. So I just want to be really precise in our language here. Yeah. Are you saying a woman born female with a vagina?
So a woman who's born with a vagina, and then a transgender who goes through the surgery is transgender woman. What other people want to call themselves and do, yeah, that's up to you to label.
Okay, so are you agreeing with her?
I'm agreeing with the same.
Okay, so transgender
I
woman
do
is a woman.
see a distinction between the two, but they're both women.
Okay. What is a woman?
A woman is someone who either presents themselves as a woman or goes through the process to be able to present themselves as a woman, because there's a difference between sex and gender.
Okay. And what is a woman?
Like, a woman is a person with a vagina, but like I know people are sometimes born with no complete vagina.
Like intersex?
Hermaphrodite.
Intersex?
Intersex, like they have both. Like
They can be. They would call those chimeras or hermaphrodites.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about those cases, but there are cases that like their genes are like
XXY?
No, but XX, but however they're
Sure, they're still males.
No, they're females.
XX is male. XY is sorry. XY is male. XX is female.
Yeah.
But you can have XXY,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
and things like this where you're still the opposite sex.
Yes, but I'm not talking about that
Here,
case.
okay. What is a woman? Just define it.
A woman is a person with a complete vagina, or like they have problems with their vagina, but they were raised up like as a social female.
Okay, so you're talking like a birth defect.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. What about transgender women? Are they women?
Like, do they still have a penis?
But I'm
Oh my God!
a bit
No,
confused
we're
because
just
you said
asking you what-
born. You said born with a
didn't-
vagina.
No, I said with a vagina, I think.
Yes.
Oh, you said a woman is someone.
What has the world come to when women can't answer this question in less than 10 seconds? She's been at it for a minute now.
With a vagina, not
Yes.
born with a vagina.
Right.
Okay, so that would include at least in your view, that would include transgender women.
Do they still have dicks?
Yeah, they cut
Sure,
their dick
let's
off.
say they get rid of the
If it-
penis.
Yeah, then it's okay.
Okay.
Then it's one. Okay, cut one follow up on that. Can a male become a female?
Well. Okay.
They can do whatever they please and identify with, but personally, I just
Well, hold on. So I'm asking you a question.
Yes.
So there's gender.
Can a man
Hold on,
become a
hold on.
woman?
No. There's gender and sex. So I'm
Yes.
talking gender. Can a man can become a woman? I think some of you are going to say yes. If we're talking about sex, can a male become a female?
If it's not about gender, no.
Okay.
Can a male become a female?
I don't think I get the question.
Can you scoot your mic that way? I
think I do.
Yeah.
So the separation between sex and gender. Gender is your expression of how you identify. Sex is your actual
Chromosomes,
physical body.
Yes.
Can a male actually become a female?
Quick answers if
Yes.
you can, guys.
Yes.
If there are
And there you have it. She doesn't live in reality.
hermaphrodite and you have both inside of you.
I'm speaking in generalities here. I'm not looking for the
I'm even willing to
the
accept
fringe.
it. I'm
Yeah.
actually willing to accept the specifics. So if you think a hermaphrodite can become the other sex, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But but I don't think we got really definitive there. Can a male become a female?
So if he was like presenting, but he has ovaries,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
But that's okay. But how about there aren't birth defects? Like an otherwise normal, healthy male, can they become a female?
He can't have. He can become a woman, but female with
sure.
ovaries. If you're looking
Can't
at
become a female.
biological,
Okay. What about you?
No.
No.
Not completely the same as.
Okay. I just want to point out, all of you who said a woman is this, that, you're all you're all science deniers. All of you are science deniers. Biology is a hard science.
Hard.
It's not a soft science like psychology and sociology.
And economics.
Hard sciences like biology, for example, with established facts, it's not up for negotiation. It's not up for debate.
Sure.
Just to be clear.
I think that depends. So for me, I would ask this. Why do you, specifically you, as a hetero, married, happily, as you mentioned, man, why do you care?
Well,
She's basically asking him, why do you care about the truth? I would ask her, why do you like being lied to?
Dive into it and I'll show you why. Actually, this is I'm sorry. I know I was having a conversation. You couldn't help but butt in. Go ahead.
I feel like I kind of understand why.
But anyway, so back to this conversation over here. I can't believe that you just butted in while we were having the discussion, but you couldn't help yourself. But here's the thing. I think that that's a fair question. And I'll explain my position. But let's start with this. I want to show you something that's super important.
Okay.
In philosophy, we call this an infinite regress. An infinite regress would be if I ask you, in this case, for like a definition, and you give me the thing that I'm asking about as the definition, it infinitely regresses. And I'm going to show you how this works in real time. So I asked you, what is a woman? And you said a woman's anybody who identifies as a woman. That seems fair, right? Okay. Is she a woman?
To me, looking at her sitting here, yes.
Am I a woman?
No, because you definitely don't present and have stated that you are not.
That seems fair, that there's distinctions between the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
So if I ask the criteria again, what differentiates me from her? If you say a woman's anyone who identifies as a woman, okay, I'm a woman.
All right.
What differentiates us now?
Well, despite the fact you became a woman 5 seconds
Sure.
ago.
But I am now.
Physically.
What differentiates us?
The physical characteristics of being female. At this point in your transition, ma'am, that's a big difference.
and what are those differences?
I don't see boobs. I don't think there's a vagina present.
Then it sounds to me like when you say woman, you actually don't mean anybody who says woman, because that doesn't give you enough information. It sounds like you mean there has to be other criteria there.
Yes, she knows the difference. She knows the truth, but she's not allowed to speak it. That's the difference.
Otherwise, how could you? Otherwise, how could you make the distinction?
Because you would tell me, like you just did, you'd say, guidance, I'm a woman. And from there on out, I would respect you.
But why is it that you would instantly see her as a woman and not instantly see me as one?
The same reason why you would look at me and say African American and not Latina.
That makes sense. So if I were to say like black definitionally, I might point to like skin, I might point to hair, I might point to all sorts of physical differentials, right? I would not say anybody who identifies as black, would I?
Nope.
Why?
Because you can't really and truly choose that race is different than sex.
Yeah. But hang on. Before earlier, I'm not saying they're the same. I'm just asking you this. I'm just asking you this one question.
Yep.
What would make me not black?
You're not. You don't. You're
so
not
if
black.
you gave a definition of black versus white, you would be pointing to criteria, which made a differential between black and white.
You can't.
But how is it that you can look at me and say, how is it that you can look at me and say man, look at her and say woman?
Because you are.
But the second I say, but I identify as a woman, suddenly those distinctions go away. That's an infinite regress. What that means is, what is a woman? A woman's anyone who says they're a woman. Yeah, but what is that though? Well, anyone who says they're that thing. But what is that? Anyone who says they're that. But what is it though? It's anyone who says they're it, right?
I don't think the people, there's no one asking that question.
Yeah, but that's what they are asking. That is what they're asking. And so the thing is,
that's what y'all are asking.
Yeah, it is what we all are asking.
On that spectrum,
but
we
it's
don't
super,
care.
But I know you don't care, but
yeah, we know you don't care about that, but the rest of us does. So don't try to include us into your delusion.
Other than men who are not happy with the state of males in the country.
It's still super important to us because...
To who's us?
Yeah, so to the people who don't believe in the ideology...
There you go. I think that answers
wait a second, anybody can just identify as anything to become that thing. You say, no, they can't. But when I say, what's a woman? You say, anybody who identifies as a woman. I say, well, what distinguishes me from her? This. And then I say, okay, so what is a woman? Well, anybody who identifies as a woman. You're not pointing at anything. You have an empty label. It points to nothing.
I think because
listen. I want to explain this so that
You've been explaining it.
It's a logical. It's actually logically fallacious. It's called an infinite regress fallacy. What you're doing is you're infinitely regressing. So you're just always saying the same thing, but never pointing to anything. So if I were to ask you, what's a guitar? And you said, anything I point to and say it's a guitar. Have you told me what a guitar is?
No. But I think most people, when you say guitar, they form an image of a guitar in their mind.
Yeah,
so
I
if
agree.
you just say, hey, if you want to play a drum as a guitar, you can do that. But I think
I totally agree with this.
We're removing the human experience from all of this.
It's only the human experience which can identify what is a guitar. Who can make a guitar besides a human?
Oh, I don't know.
Nobody. Nothing can make a guitar but a human, as far as we know. So if that's the case, when I say, what is a guitar? And you say anything I point to and say it's a guitar, you say, that tells me nothing. I agree. If I asked you this question, and just describe it for me. What is a guitar?
An instrument with strings.
What does it look like?
There's so many shapes of guitars.
Yeah, but what do they generally at least look like?
Long stick, strings, and a bottom part. I don't even know what you call that.
So based on that, I can at least say that I can rule out everything without strings as an instrument as not being a guitar, right?
Sure.
Now we're getting to what a definition is, right?
Sure.
And that's the distinction between an empty label and a definition. When you say that's a guitar, at least I can point to what that is. When you say anything I point to is a guitar, that tells me fucking nothing about what a guitar is.
So are we so simple-minded in 2025 that if we...
I don't care what year it is. A woman will be a woman regardless. You can flip to any calendar date and that will be the truth, no matter what.
We don't have a distinct description for a person, their sexuality, their preferences. If we can't define it, it's not right. If we can't define, I listened to you for a long time.
Okay, go ahead.
If we can't define it, it's wrong. If we can't define it, it's confusing. If we can't define it, it's not scientific. There are a lot of things in science and biology and history and art that are undefinable. You cannot define a person. And honestly, just blatantly speaking, people like you do not have a seat at the table because it's not for you.
We're the only ones who have the seat at the table.
That table is just for y'all. But I would think that I know that the people who are on the rainbow spectrum, we don't care.
Yeah, but
y'all do. And it's interesting because I feel all I hear behind it to me is we don't understand y'all, so we feel threatened.
No.
Why? What are you threatened by? Does my fake penis really do something that big to the male ego?
Nasty bitch.
Does my strap really do that?
You do understand.
I guess it does.
You do understand us. It sounds to me like you're saying you do understand us, and we feel threatened by that.
No.
So, it has to be the case. It has to be the case.
Us. Why do you have to define us?
Well, here's the thing. It has to be the case.
Does it?
Yeah, logic. You can't beat logic.
You can't put logic to love and human experience.
Right, you can't put logic.
It's unquantifiable.
Right, logic is the one thing you can't ever refute.
Is love logical? Have you experienced love?
Actually, love is logical. Yes.
Or is it emotional? It can be. And
no,
when
it's not. Can be.
Point,
it is logical.
No, we just.
This lady lives in chaos. She doesn't like order.
Saying I have emotions, therefore I act on emotions, logically follows. There is nothing illogical about that. There is, however, something highly illogical about giving an empty label to a definition of a thing you're trying to describe. That's completely illogical.
I don't think the label can't. I mean, I don't know the history of it.
We're not talking about labels. We're talking about defining a thing so that it can be even understood.
At the end of the day, I don't care what the person, who the person I'm interacting with, whatever their label or definition for themselves is, that's great for them.
So would it be fair to say you don't care about logic?
I don't care about descriptors and
which would be logic. So can you even have logical interactions without descriptors?
Heck yeah.
How?
And if you can't, then that
is there a single thing that you can logically express without a descriptor? All words are descriptors.
Yeah.
Aren't all words descriptors? Yeah, but how do you describe feelings?
With words.
Yeah, exactly. So all words are descriptors. When you say feelings, you're describing
I don't
something.
I think our disconnect is I'm not disagreeing with you as far as there are labels, there are
I'm not talking about
definitions,
labels.
there are words to describe people, there are scientific terms and things to describe genitalia. None of that's false. 1000% with you. I think my personal standpoint on that is none of that matters to those that it doesn't matter to, but to those that it does, that's great. Is there, if you want to quantify that information and use it in your dating experience, like by all means. But for me as a person, the first thing I'm asking or looking for when I swipe left or right or talk to a person is not, is your vagina surgical or biological? It just isn't.
But this doesn't answer the question. Like, how come I'm not black?
I don't know. You have to ask your mom that.
You don't know why I'm not black?
Mm-mm.
You don't know?
No.
I just want you to look me in the eyes and say, I don't know why you're not
can't
black.
Get, like surgery to
I just want to make sure
as black either.
Yeah, I
that
could.
I know of.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And did Michael Jackson get surgery?
Yeah, he became white.
I think.
Yeah, but did he get surgery also? Yes. And so the thing is like, if I could get surgery, that would make my skin look like your skin.
Mm-hmm.
Am I black?
That depends. Do I care? No.
She won't answer the question because she has the need to be right. She knows she's wrong, but she can't admit it.
I mean,
that is my question about whether you care or if I am black.
It kind of is, because if you ask the person who really debated that kind of thing with people and that kind of stuff mattered, of course they'd have an opinion and they'd have an answer.
So you have no opinion on if I bleached or in some way change my skin to be black,
nope.
Would I be black?
Your experience of blackness, authentic or not, biological or not, is yours. My authentic experience of blackness is mine. Your experience as a newly...
Would I be black or not?
That's not up to me.
No.
That it just doesn't answer.
How can you have a conversation with people that think this way? There's nothing rooted in logic or any kind of fact. It's all emotion, and she's not being honest.
You just don't answer questions. This is the biggest problem with this whole ideology, right? Is like, you can't answer a single question. You go,
I'm not even
you just go like this. You just go like this. You just go, maybe. And it's like, it tells us nothing about anything. It just literally tells us.
Because we don't care. I think it's only our age group and up.
Yeah, we know you don't care.
I get what you're saying.
There's nothing to get. There's nothing to get.
Like,
no,
what I'm saying is objectively true, and what she's saying is objectively nothing.
So when you're saying if you suddenly got a surgery and became black tomorrow, would you be considered black by everybody? And the thing...
No, that's not what I'm asking.
Would you be seen as black?
Nope, that's not what I'm asking either.
I think he's asking black. Would he be? So like if we're relating it back to gender...
What am I asking? Start with this. Before you straw man the entire position and fuck it all up. What am I asking? What am I asking?
We started with gender, didn't we?
Stop spurging and just answer my question. What am I actually asking? And then I'll tell you if it's wrong, what I'm actually asking.
Would you be considered
or
seen as black?
Nope.
He's just asking, is
no.
Black?
I'm not asking about perception. I'm not asking about any of that. I'm asking, would I be? So let me ask you this again. That's why I don't allow people to straw man my position with bullshit. If I were to somehow go through and get all of my skin reconstructed to look exactly like hers, would I actually be black or not?
In my opinion, no.
Okay, thank you. That's why I don't. That's right.
Back to gender.
That's it. No, that's it.
Okay.
The whole debate right now, what you just did was you demonstrated how illogical the entire position is of saying, but if I presented as a woman, you would be. That's fucking absurd by your own logic now.
But if you're dating, how would we know that you're not biologically black?
I want to go off of your point with that statement in regards to gender and kind of mapping it onto each other. If you decided tomorrow to become a woman and you didn't have the experiences of a lifetime of being a woman,
no man does.
Yeah, I as a cisgender woman,
then no man could become a woman.
I'm going with your point here that I would be upset.
So then no man can become a woman, can they?
It's for me now.
Yeah.
Her and Andrew figured it out and came to the conclusion, but she still can't say it out of her mouth. That's how much power the trans community has over modern women. On to the next.
That's what I call a chain reaction.
Manifest my own destiny. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, the perfect recipe. May they remember me, my words will live on. I'm guided by an energy, a flame, hold it close to you. Check out my melodies. It's the media that's been leading you, I'll show you a thing. Misdirection, what's the message? They don't want you to win.
As much as we all like to rip on men, this is time to take some accountability.